look at this format. Class. So, class is a collection of data members and actions. Class is a collection of data members and actions. Class is a collection of data members and actions, or we can say methods. Now, how will you define the class? Global or public class, class name, data members, and class name, data members, or methods. When do you define a class as a global? If you want this class to be used within the application or outside the application. If you want to define any web services, we are going to define that class as global. If you want the class to be used within the application, outside the application, we define that class as what? Global. Any class that you define as a global, it can be used within the application as well as outside the application. Generally, we use web services. Generally, we define web service classes as global. If we say public, it can be used anywhere within the application. Fine. Now, we are giving global, public. Generally, we take what? Public. Public class. Public class example. Here, we are taking the data members. What are the data members? Data members are nothing but variables. Now, I am taking some variables. Public, string, public, string, public, string. We have taken a class. It's a class and we are going to define some methods. It's a combination of data members and listen to the context. We have object. Object is a instance of a class. Class will have what? Data members and methods. Class will have data members and methods. If you want to create a instance of a class, we call it as object. Let me give you an example. I am creating a class here. Public class I created a class called public class student, public string name, public string I got a class. In the class, I gave a constructor. Public. How you print the values? System dot equal. I'm printing the value and say name equal to. I give a method public void this is how I got a class. I got a class with the data members, constructor and a method. If you create a class, memory will not be allocated for the class. Class is only a template, no memory will be allocated for it. If you create a class, no memory will be allocated, it is only a template. Now what I am doing, look at the format. I am trying to create new. Whenever I say new, I told new. Whenever I say new, memory is allocated. Whenever we allocated a new, memory is allocated. New memory is allocated. For whom the memory is allocated? Data members. Name, branch. Whenever we use a keyword called new, memory is allocated. For whom the memory is allocated? For the data members of the class. Whenever we say new, memory is allocated. For whom the memory is allocated? Data members of the class. After allocating the memory, what we are calling? Student. What is a student? It is a constructor. Student is a constructor. So the constructor will execute. The moment the memory is allocated, immediately constructor is called. When the constructor is called, what is student? Now what is the logic that you are writing in the constructor? Name equal to SRN. The moment the memory is allocated, immediately constructor is called. When you call the constructor, it is saying name equal to Satish. Then we have branch equal to SRN. Name equal to Satish, branch equal to SRN. So when is the constructor executed? After allocating the memory, automatically constructor is executed. Is the show is called automatically? Show is not called automatically. Constructor will be called automatically after allocating the memory. When is the constructor called? Constructor will be automatically called once the memory is allocated for the object. You will assign the memory. You will assign the memory. Once the memory is assigned, constructor will be called. Constructor will assign the values for the data members of the class. For whom it is assigning? Name equal to Satish Paila, branch equal to SR Nagar. What is phone? Phone equal to null. Phone equal to null. If you don't initialize the value, what is the value we are going to get? Null. If you don't initialize the value, what is the value we are going to get? Null. So what is the purpose of a constructor? Constructor is used to initialize the values for the data members of the class. Constructor is used to initialize the values for the data members of the class. Am I clear with this? Okay. Now, once it is allocated, somewhere the memory is allocated, somewhere I store the data. Now I want to refer to name. Where is that name? Memory is allocated. Where is that memory? Do you know where is that memory? I don't know where is that memory. Now if you don't know where is that memory, how do you refer to the values in that memory? When you say new, memory is allocated somewhere. Where is that memory allocated? I don't know. If you don't know the location where is that memory, how can you refer to the values of the memory? If you don't know the location of the memory, how can you refer to the values of that memory? How can you refer to the values of the memory? There is a problem. There is a reason. This memory location is referred by using what? Reference variable. By using what? Reference variable. Reference variable means it will refer to the instance of the memory given by new keyword. I told student std equal to. When I told student std equal to new student, what happened? This memory is referred by what? This memory is referred by what? So std is not a value. It is a reference to the location. std is not the value. It is a reference to the location. std is a reference to that memory. In the std, we have a name Satish. In the std, we have a branch SR Nagar. In the std, we have a phone null. Are you getting my point? So what is an std? It is a reference variable. What is an object? It is an instance. This is the object creation. Whenever we say new student, it is object. That object is referred by std. New student is the object. That object is referred by std. Why should I refer? If you don't refer, I don't know where is that memory. If you don't refer, I don't know where is that memory. Are you getting my point? So how to create an object for the class? How do you create an object for the class? Class name. Okay. Reference object name. New whatever that object name I give is a reference. Are you getting my point? So what is the purpose of the new? New is a keyword which is used to allocate the memory for data members of the class. New is the keyword which is used to allocate the memory for data members of the class. Right? Constructor. The moment the memory is allocated, the moment the memory is allocated, the moment the memory is allocated, it is going to refer to the moment the memory is allocated, it is going to call the constructor. What the constructor will do? It is used to initialize the data members of the class. For the class, is the memory is allocated? No. When is the memory allocated? Only when you create an object for the class. Only when you create an object for the class. How do you refer to the values of this? We refer std dot I hope you are clear. How the members of the class are referred? std.name, std.branch, std.phone. What is the difference between primitive variable and reference variable? Primitive variable will refer to values. Reference variable will refer to reference of a location. Reference of a location. It will refer to reference of a location. Are you getting my point? Now, cap info solution is the address of Satish Maila. Satish Maila is the value. Where is that value? You are not asking the name. You are asking the where is the Satish Maila? Satish Maila is in capital info solution. Satish Maila is available in capital info solution. You are giving my address. If you come to this address, you will get the data about Satish Maila. So reference is not giving the data, it is giving the location of the data. Reference variable is going to give you reference to the location of the data. So when is the memory allocated? Whenever we use a new keyword. So new keyword if you use it is an instance. New instance is created. I hope I am clear. I hope I am clear. Right. Look at the point. Once again I am repeating the process. Look at this. I have line number 1. The line number 1 I wrote student line number 2 I wrote student. I wrote like this. When I wrote like this, look at the format what we have. Student S1 equal to there is a new memory cell. In the memory, what we have? This memory is referred by what? It is separate instance. When is a student S2 equal to new, the moment you say new, what will happen? Memory is allocated. Then this is referred by what? This is referred by then student S3 equal to new. When is a new what happened? Memory is allocated. Memory for whom? This is how we create. So how many objects are created? 3 objects. Now, if you want to refer, I'm giving line number 4. I'm giving S1 dot name equal to S2 dot phone equal to S3 dot branch equal to. What does it mean? I'm saying S1 dot name. In the S1 location, modify the name as. So whenever you say S1 dot name, refer to the memory location of S1, change the value equal to 10. Then you told S2 dot 4 equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. In S2, keep 1, 2, 3. When you told S3 dot branch, S3 dot branch, modify this value equal to. So how the elements are referred? You see, when I say S1, it is referring to separate location. S2, it is referring to separate location. S3, it is referring to separate location. Are you clear about this? If I make the changes on S1, will affect in S2? If I make the changes in S2, will affect S3? No, because all of them are what? Individual objects. Are you clear? Three different students. Student 1, student 2, student 3. If I modify the value of student 1, it will not change the value in student 2. If I modify the value in student 2, it will not modify the value in student 3. Alright, boss? Now look at this example. Right? We are going for a class. Student. I am trying to create a new class. And a student class. Okay. Then I am creating public student. When you say public student, name equal to. Then I created one more method, public void. This is how I created a class. How did you create a class? File, new, fx class, enter the name. Now I want to execute. This is the class. If you want to execute this class, one of the ways, open, execute, anonymous window. What is this? Debug, open, execute, anonymous window. Student s1 equal to we have taken this. Then what did I give? S1 dot name equal to. This is how I created. Now let us see. Once you created this, I want to print it. How do you print it? System dot debug. This is for testing amount. System dot debug is for testing. We don't use system dot debug. Only for testing we write it. System dot debug is for what? Testing. It is not for printing the data. It is for what? Testing purpose. System dot debug S1. What is the name of S1? S1 dot. So what is that? Refer to the name in the S1. This is how we treat it. Similarly, I want to print. I am printing S1, S2, S3. I am printing S1, S2 dot name, S2 dot branch, S2 dot, we have S3 dot name, S3 dot branch, S3 dot. We created a structure like this. Then we are selecting what? Open, log. I told using system.debug you cannot print the data on the page. Only in the log file you can see the output. That is a testing purpose. So what is the data we are getting? S1 name is Kiran, branch is Sanagar, phone equal to null. S2 name is Satish Baila, S2 branch is Sanagar, S2 phone number is 12345, S3 name is Satish Baila, branch is Selvinagar, phone equal to null. So the changes what I made on S1 dot name I give as Kiran. But what is S2 dot name? Satish. S3 dot name? Satish. Changes that you make on one object will not be reflected in other object. Changes what you make in one object will not be reflected in other object. Then we got S2 dot, okay, S2 dot phone equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then what is the value of S1 dot phone? Null. S2 dot phone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. S3 dot phone null. I told S3 dot branch equal to Vinagar. So what happened? S1 dot branch equal to Sanagar, S2 dot branch equal to Sanagar, S3 dot branch equal to Vinagar. So every object is what? One separate instance. It is separate location. It is separate memory location where we are trying to store the value. People have followed this. People have followed this. Any further queries on this? Right. Now let us go ahead with the next one.